Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel today. We're going to go over an old story. It's a long one with a happy ending, so hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. Served her at the hotel they were sleeping in. A bit of background. I am male 43 and my significant other female 40 have been married for 16 years. We have 2 kids, a 14-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. Our marriage was very rocky in the beginning, but we made it through those tough years and had come out much better for it. We married young, so maturity wasn't all there yet, but we knew we loved each other and could conquer an obstacle that comes between our marriage. I'm not sure whether this was wishful thinking. Anyway, my wife is a manager of a very big advertising company for 3 years now, and I'm in engineering for about 7 years. Both our jobs pay well and gave our family a pretty good lifestyle. We were a very loving family. We always made sure his parents that we were there for our kids to create great memories no matter how busy we got. We always made time for the kids. Honestly, I consider myself a good dad and husband. I messed up sometimes when it came to my wife, but I did nothing for this woman, and it honestly shocked me to my core when I found out that she was in a long-time affair, which brings me to my discovery. My wife was acting distant. The last 2 years before this one were the hardest. She didn't seem to like anything I did. She kept comparing me to her boss. Yes, I know now, and would always tell me how he would handle this or that can't read her mind. Well, our boss can't take the initiative to take her out on dates and make her feel special. Well, her boss does that for his wife. Why was I so immature? I would ask what she wanted to do to spice up our love life. Her answer usually is don't ask. You need to already know and do it. So I researched and bought some books, Since I was clueless, someone else had to have the answer. Anything I attempted was met with either half-hearted appreciation or bitter disappointment. My wife was never like this in the years I've known her, so I thought that inability to make her happy was something I seriously needed to fix a little. Did I know it wasn't me who was doing the fixing the entire time? We were very close to her boss and his wife. They also had kids, and the kids loved each other. We brought them into our barbecues, family outings, to the park, game days at the arcade. They have been to our house numerous times, and we've been theirs. It's no surprise that we became close. I would confide in our boss about our marital problems, and he gave me good advice. I thought he was a swell guy anyway. Back to the discovery, I had grown emotionally tired from my wife's demands to better myself, or the marriage was done. I was honestly shocked with her attitude because before all this, I thought we had a good marriage. So one night, she was busy laughing and giggling while texting someone. I was next to her in the bed and was curious the moment I leaned my head to take a peek. She viciously pulled away from me. She was angry, instantly asking me what I was doing. I told her I wanted to see what the joke was, and she told me it was none of my business and retreated to the bathroom. I think that's the day when I just knew deep down that there was an affair of sorts going on. I didn't have proof though. I made the mistake of asking her directly the next day. She was furious and denied any wrongdoing. I didn't have access to her phone, but I wanted the truth terribly. I asked for her phone, and she refused. Only later during the night that she begrudgingly gave me the phone. Almost every text she sent to specific people was deleted. I could tell because some conversations seemed inconsistent and others downright ridiculous. I gave her the phone back, and we didn't speak about it until a month later when I was able to get a buddy on it to check the phone and recover deleted texts. My wife had gotten another phone prior and hardly used the one she handed me. Some texts were recovered, and it was through bits and pieces that I finally had proof that there was an affair going on, and you already guessed it, with her boss. I just knew if I confronted her then and there, she would find some way to weasel out of it. So I bide my time. I was a wreck, though all I could think about was how it was going to affect the kids. The situation was horrible, and I cried in front of my buddy. I still didn't want to give up the marriage. So 3 days later, I bought the book How to Help Your Spouse Heal from an Affair. It's okay if you're shaking your head. I started reading, hoping that if I gave it to my wife, she would stop this nonsense. I wanted my wife back, and I wanted to save the marriage. I had planned on talking to her on that Saturday to work things out, but she had told me that they had an emergency at work and not to wait up. Of course, I contacted the workplace on that day to confirm the story she gave me and received no answer. They were not open on Saturdays. I tried her phone, but no answer. She came back at 2 in the morning on Sunday and immediately showered, and then came to bed. I asked why she was late, and she dodged the question by saying that she already told me not to wait for her. I was sick of it. I didn't give her the book I bought. I was suffering, and she didn't care. She saw me suffering and didn't care. I contacted the boss's wife to find out if she knew anything. I was so desperate for stability, and to this day I don't regret doing that. She was as shocked as I was when finding out she wanted to confront her husband, but I told her he would probably lie and try to hide it better, like my wife did. We met at her house and discussed what was going on, and I gave her the little proof that we had. She wanted more evidence. So we decided to gather evidence on each of our sides and compare them. I started snooping on my wife more, and she did the same with her husband. It was very easy for her to find undeniable proof. Her husband was so arrogant that he didn't even delete the text on his phone between him and my wife. The little text I had earlier finally made sense, and we had the whole picture of how long the affair was. 2 years. The boss's wife was livid, and so was I. She wanted to get revenge on them, and so did I. They slept together everywhere. Her house, my house, expensive hotels, and business trips. It was sickening to read all that. They even sent each other pics. But we decided to ignore the pics because we didn't want to scar ourselves with the images. We wanted revenge, but not an affair ourselves. We decided that if they wanted each other, then they can have each other. By the time our ducks were in a row, they were at it again, this time by collaborating with the boss's wife. We knew exactly where and how they were going to be served. We knew which hotel they booked for their weekend of fun. I went there with the sheriff. I waited in the lobby as the sheriff got everything working, and my wife was called to come down from a room. She did dress in a bathrobe, and I feared nothing else. She was panicking frantically, asking me what I was doing there. It was quite a distance from our home, but not too far. The sheriff asked for confirmation of her name and information. She confusingly answered in the affirmative, and was. It was very satisfying seeing the shocked look on her face. But I didn't want to rub it in, so I decided to walk away knowing the job was done. She didn't let me, and was holding my arm, pulling me back, and demanding to know what the meaning of this was. I told her, you had an affair, and I'm leaving you, simple. She started screaming at me and pulling my arm hard. The sheriff had to step in and tell her to release me at once. She did so and started crying, telling me she can explain. I had the wrong idea. It's my fault. I was getting angry, so I left quickly to get home. My wife told her boss, and he panicked. From what I was told, he rushed home only to be served there. We didn't even give them time to get their heads on straight. We blindsided them just like they did us. My divorce will be finalized in a couple of months. Hers might be taking a bit longer. Both my wife and her boss have been fighting us about the divorce. Neither wants to get a divorce. The excuse I hear is they never intended to leave their spouses. It was a purely sexual affair. Nothing more people have worse affairs and still come out with a great marriage. They fucked up and would like the chance to unfuck the situation. I've asked my wife what she thought the outcome of all this was. She said she was going with the flow and acted completely out of character. She is not that person anymore. I told her she was an idiot. People around me are calling me evil for not giving my wife another chance. My kids know what's going on. They're age appropriate now, and they are behind me 100%, but would like it if we stayed together. My resolve is slipping, coupled with the fact that we still live in the same house, and my wife is going to therapy and reading the book I bought. It's getting harder to stick to my guns. She says she's remorseful and will do whatever it takes. All I tell her is that she's sorry she got caught, and that's all I need to know. She's called me a bitter, resentful person who can't look past all the negativity. She apologized for it later, but I know that's how she feels. The boss's wife and I still talk, and my wife hates that. She thinks I'm going to have a revenge affair, or her boss's wife is the reason I won't give us another chance. She asked me repeatedly to initiate no contact the boss's wife, just like she did with her boss. I told her she was crazy. We didn't do anything wrong, and why should I respect your opinions now? See, I think I'm done. I have no respect for her. She still doesn't want to give up, and is actively trying to engage with me about her thoughts and the processes of the affair. I see them as excuses, so I don't entertain her. She wants me to do therapy with her. I read many places where the therapist blames the victim, so I was like, hell no. She wants me to read infidelity books with her. What's the point if we're going to divorce anyway? She wants to be intimate. I told her she's not going to manipulate me with sex. She says it's not manipulation, and she just wants to show me how much she loves me. I corrected and said, love me? Now, you mean people around me are frustrated with me? Even my mom, because they say people make mistakes, and my wife realizes through her mistakes that she truly does love me. I told people that I'll never be anyone's fallback plan. I feel very bad for treating her the way I do. I still love her even though there's hate there. Am I being unnecessarily cruel to her? She's trying hard, but I just don't care. Should I reconsider the divorce? People are saying I'm moving too quickly, and I'll regret it. Is that true? I don't know what's real and what's not updated. My wife and I are in sort of a good place right now. It's not because we're reconciling. No, I'm still divorcing her. The last update I posted, which was taken down by the automotive, explained in great detail our situation. The short version is my wife is still begging me for another chance and is doing whatever it takes to get it. I'm not giving it to her because her affair was way too long for me to get over. If it had been a one-night stand, that may be a different story. But no, 2 years is just a slap in the face. I've gone to a few therapy sessions with her because I'm not a monster and still a lover. One session was very good and made me understand that my wife is remorseful. She's not been perfect with how she handled the fallout of her affair, but she's been trying pretty damn hard. The second session was a mess of her upset at me for continuously contacting the boss's wife and her being afraid of revenge affair. It was the angriest I ever was to the whole mess, and we did argue a great deal later because I refused to do what she wanted, which is no contact with the boss's wife. That was resolved when I promised her there will be no revenge affair. I know I don't owe anything, but she's still my wife until our divorce, and I still want to hold to my commitments. I've been going to a few more sessions with her just to see your progress. Yes, this therapist is an individual and marriage therapist. No, I'm not going to these sessions because deep down I want to save our marriage. I want to see my wife's progress, myself participate. If I have to after the divorce, I'll step away gracefully. The boss's wife is still leaving her husband. Her husband is still fighting over the divorce. She is as adamant as I am, and I'll have to admit, we confide in each other when we have our low days. I still don't see an affair happening. We're just on friendly terms with each other. That's all. She's a strong, independent woman who takes no bullshit from. My kids are fine. They know just because we're divorcing doesn't mean we love them any less. They don't want a divorce, but understand why it's necessary for us in an age-appropriate manner. My wife doesn't work at the advertising company anymore. She works elsewhere. She resigned shortly after I served her. She's been strictly no contact with her former boss. According to her, she reached out on forums to get help on saving the marriage and used that advice. I've been reading a lot here, and at first, I didn't understand why people stayed with adulterers. But after seeing my wife work her butt off to be a better person, I see the temptation. She's not a monster. She's just flawed and made horrible choices, which she's learning to be better from. She has offered me everything under the sun to be given another chance. I'm not sure I have it in me. The closer divorce comes to being final, the more at peace I feel. We recently had a long discussion about her asking to have a chance after the divorce. She has offered a post-up, which I was not completely opposed to actually, but it would be a very long road for her to travel for me to even consider it a possibility. She seems quite willing, but I don't see how this would benefit any of us, to be honest. A huge part of me wants this divorce out of a fleeting sense of justice. It's the only justice I can get without lowering myself to an adulterer. My mom and I made up after I revealed more about my wife's affair, although now she's furious with my wife after learning the details. I don't know how to navigate that one update too. Okay, I didn't want to write here until my divorce was finalized, but I am just pissed off today and want to vent. As many of you know, my wife is scared crazy about the revenge of her. Simple reason is that I'm still in contact and see the other woman she betrayed. My wife is very insecure compared to OBS. Is that how it is spelled? OBS is younger, a model, very attractive, and owns a successful business. It makes my wife paranoid that I'll give in to temptation and cheat on her as revenge. I still cannot believe her nerve of her to give me the two wrongs that don't make a right speech. Of course she's wrong and I don't ever intend to follow through, but her hypocrisy infuriates me. Every time I'm going to visit OBS, like yesterday, she gets extremely sad and extremely clinging. I don't know how many times she's thrown herself at me just to make sure I don't cheat on her back. I reject her attempts, and it only makes things worse. It floors me that cheaters are this selfish, only thinking about themselves and their plan, while the betrayed have to trudge along and try to pick up the pieces. Another thing, our kids still see their kids. I never go to OBS without my kids, but no, my wife still thinks I have it in me to be as heartless as she was, and take any opportunity to bang the woman. Laughable shit. OM is still living in their holiday home, begging OBS to take him back. I'm not gonna lie. It brings me a sense of great satisfaction to see him suffer the consequences. He's not tried to threaten me because he knows how much leverage I have on him. He has to deal with the fact that I'm in contact with his wife. He's allowed to visit the kids anytime he wants but doesn't want to see me, so he makes sure I'm not around when he visits. I pity the guy, honestly. Currently, my wife has been super apologetic. She showered me with affection, which I simply brushed off. I'm not in a good place. We're having a therapy session today, and I feel like unloading all the pain and hurt have to endure because of her. The rage I feel is becoming overwhelming. Update. I thought I wasted all these years on a woman who was nothing but worthless. But she gave me great kids and great memories. These things I'll never forget and cherish as a man. But I finally understand I can do better than her. And I'm going to do better than her. I have a flood of people giving me advice on how to deal with the situation. I finally understand that I deserve better than her. She screwed me over, put me down, and made me feel less than when another man showed her attention. She invested her energy in another dude. I can't believe that I'm finally coming to terms with that. I'm overwhelmed now. Now she does whatever it takes to keep me. Now she's investing her energy in us. Now she wants me to be happy when she didn't give a damn before. Now she wants to be this adventurous person in sex with me. The sex we had before was never mind-blowing, but I liked it now. I see how much I've missed out on through her texts with OM. I know just the tip of the iceberg about how graphic their twists were now. She wants to show me just how much she loves me when admitting she was quite lazy before. The lazy sex speaks volumes to me. Now she gives me space and is happy and supportive of anything I do, when before it was all about giving her attention and providing for her at the same time. Now she values my boundaries and goes above and beyond to add to them. Now she sees me as the king. I wish she saw me as before, but no, I had to smack her off her pedestal. Now she's the ideal woman, but it seems fleeting to me. Now she is completely transparent with me about everything. She's brutally honest too, even if it will upset me or embarrass me. I don't think I've ever seen any woman with a constant look of shame on her face before. She wishes this affair had never happened. I can see how much she kicks herself every day. I can see the hopelessness on her face when I'm just not receptive to anything she does. She looks so miserable, especially when she tries to hide it. It makes me hate myself sometimes. But to me, it's necessary. Why can't I see this as a positive thing? Why can't I judge her for her actions? Now they show remorse, right? Many people have LTAs and come out even stronger than before. Why am I basing my decisions on emotions and not a place of mature objectification? Someone else, when someone else will get the better and improved version of her, will I venture into another uncertain relationship? Why not fight for this when everything seems to point to something good in the future? These are the lines I've been given, and I have one answer. I will not accept disrespect. Maybe I was willing to in the early stages of discovery, but I woke up from that quickly. This is to answer the people who have PM'd me and regularly asked about my situation. I'm going to enjoy this Christmas with my entire family and then move on from my wife. I decided to stop listening to the nonsense I created in my head to keep my wife's control over me and move on entirely from the idea of her. I will not be dating her or giving us another chance. We're over for good. I'd like to say that my wife isn't a villain, and that's true. I want her to be happy as well, but it won't be with me. She showed me that. I called the OBS today and offered her dinner after the holidays for her support when I hit rock bottom. She said she would love to. I know this doesn't happen often, but we supported each other throughout all of this, and I owe thanks. Before people start talking about how much I planned this with OBS, I honestly did not. My emotions have been so screwed up these past few years that the very thought of another woman never crossed my mind, and it's dinner. Nothing else unless we both want it. But the closer the divorce gets, the more I realize I actually have options, and one option has been right there. What about OM? I don't give a flying fuck about the dude. I don't think I'll marry again, and I will tell this to any woman, although my divorce hasn't been much of a hassle. I'm losing a lot of money. Still, the whole idea of marriage just seems like a sham to me. Sorry for being so cynical right now. I don't want to post this to offend anyone, but I'm still jaded. I gave the best years to this woman, and I'm starting to realize now how little I got back. Happy holidays. You won't be hearing from me for a while. Another update. It's been a long time coming. I did mention before I would come back and update for the last time here. It's over. My ex and I have officially separated for good. It happened almost 3 weeks ago, for the better part of a few days. After the fact, I grieved like I lost a loved one. I think it hit me extremely hard that my marriage failed so spectacularly. Never cried that hard since I discovered the affair in the first place. I raged a lot too. One of my lowest points. Everything has been organized for my ex, partially on my part for the kids' sake. She moved out of the house, and I'm looking to buy her out of her part of it. She lives in an apartment now, very big downgrade for her, and it pretty much depresses her. She's still going to a therapist, still invested in reading and studying infidelity. Don't know exactly why. We've had long talks leading up to and after the divorce, with minimal physical contact. I know I shouldn't entertain her now, but she's still the mother of my kids, and I want us to be good co-parents. I'm nothing if not logical about the situation, largely thanks to this community and others. Of course, it's the same tune. She wants to reconcile, and I think it's too risky for me to put myself in that situation again. Unfortunately, I'm not in the mood to give her that gift. This past weekend, I accompanied OBS to dinner, with no intention of enjoying each other's company and chatting. We talked about all sorts of things. Things got flirty between us, and I must admit, I was very reluctant to entertain the rapidly changing mood. Well, I guess I should say the night ended in a very passionate way. Sorry for TMI. It was probably the most mind-blowing sex I'd ever had. OBS is very much a giver, and spades above my ex. I did not intend to go that far, but OBS was willing, and I was as well. Learned quite a few more tricks in the sack. LOL. First time I'd ever had someone that enthusiastic to please me, and not the other way around. Guess I shouldn't call her OBS anymore as she divorced her ex, but for privacy's sake, I'll just use that. I don't think it will take our relationship further, to be honest. I think the hormones and wine got the best of us that night. She would like to, but I'm undecided. I need to sort myself out emotionally, and I think she does. I feel very good though. People might not like hearing this, but the sex I had with Obese really helped a lot with my residual self-esteem issues. I felt desired alive, and finally understood what I was missing out on. I will never settle for robotic sex again. What was more satisfying was knowing that I wasn't cheating, and didn't have to lower my morals. All things considered, I'm very proud of how I handled all this crap. I wasn't perfect, but did the best I could. I'm probably coming out very lucky compared to many BH. Even if I did lose a substantial amount of money in the process. But it was because I was willing to absorb advice and listen to people with experience instead of going in blind and hoping for the best. For that, I will be forever grateful to you guys, you and everyone who lent an ear and saved me from destroying my self-worth even further. The takeaways: respect yourself. Never accept disrespect from anyone else, not even people closest to you. Everyone deserves a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Never settle for scraps from your partner. Every committed relationship should include a healthy and fulfilling sex life. If your partner is not giving his or her all to you, but did so before with someone else or in an affair, don't tolerate it. I'm not advocating sexual abuse or rape. Simply lay out your dissatisfaction if your partner isn't willing to meet them. Do not settle for boring sex unless you both agree on it. It's okay to walk away from that. Communicate. 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 I cannot stress how super important that. If you're ever betrayed, only you can truly heal yourself. It took a long time for me to understand this.